Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, this is iRadio 1 o'clock news. First, here are the headlines. The commissioner of Mayendit County in Unity State says armed men have shot dead a chief and his wife in the area. The Minister of Labour has warned employers in the country against the sexual harassment towards their staff, saying it amounts to criminal act. And South Sudanese students who have been denied graduation at Kampala University have opened a case against the administration in the Ugandan High Court. These stories and more coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Helen Samuel. Now, the news in detail. The commissioner of Mayendit County in Unity State says armed men have shot dead a chief and his wife in the area. Gatluak Nyang told iRadio that 82-years-old Pan Nyak Jok and his wife Chol Biet Bichok were killed yesterday at dawn. A daughter to the deceased parents has also been shot but is wounded. The incident occurred at Rubukwai Payam of Mayendit County of Unity State. The motive of the killing is unclear. Nyang says 4 suspects, including 3 men and a woman, have been identified in connection with the fatal attack. They, except the woman, are alleged to have come from the Moun Training Center in the area. Nyang says a preliminary investigation has put one of them, Jilwak Sam Genai, as the prime suspect. Commissioner Nyang spoke to iRadio this morning from Rubkwai town.
بالأمس الأول تلقينا هجوم وتلك الهجوم استهدف في منزل بتاع سلطان ثانية جاء أمين معدل الوفاة بتاعه ضربه وتوفى على الفور ومرة بتاعه اسمها شول ديك بيشوب برضه قتلوها كان جبته مضروب اسمها شول ثانية مضروبة الآن هي في المستشفى هم ضربوه وقتلوها على الفور ومرة بتاعه وعنده بنته برضه مضروبة هسه هي تعبانة في المستشفى بتاع ربعي اسمها شول ثانية يا ده البيت بتاعه. علينا كسلطات مقاطعة جمعنا المعلومات ولقينا انه الزول الناس اللي ارتكبوا الجريمة دي 4 أنفار وهم الان موم تريننج سنتر هم قاعدين فيه وحتى الزول اللي كان قاعدهم بتاع الهجوم عرفنا اسمه جلوى كم جناي هو هسه موجود في موم ويتكلمنا مع سلطات منذ الامس ولحد الان ما في رد. الان الاوضاع متسيطرة ما في مشكلة السلطات الامنية كلها فاقت.
That was Gatluak Nyang, the commissioner of Mayendit County in Unity State, speaking to iRadio about the incident. The Minister of Labour has warned employers in the country against the sexual harassment towards their staff, saying it is a criminal act. This comes following the resignation of a South Sudanese lady from the Juba-based Kenyan Commercial Bank after allegedly encountering sexual harassment, a phenomena Minister James Hothmai says has not been reported to them. Bahja Beatrice, a former information technology manager, said she resigned on May 25, 2022, a decision the bank's Human Resources Office simply accepted. In her resignation letter seen by iRadio, Beatrice said she had endured several mistreatments over the years in the hands of the bank's managing director. According to Beatrice, she abandoned her position and relocated to the bank's Konyo branch from Bullock as a teller. But her boss came after her and continued with his harassment. Labour Minister Hothmai condemned the act, saying it is unacceptable and is punishable by law. However, he encourages victims to report any form of violations at workplaces, and the ministry will take appropriate action against the vice. He spoke to iRadio this morning in Juba.
For the lady who have resigned because of this sexual harassment, we have not actually received any complaint because they need to raise that complaint to us. I have not received anything. I don't know whether my staff got that any complaint from her or not. And of course, according to our laws, it is forbidden and it is punishable under the law. Any sexual harassment at workplace is not accepted. So if we receive that one, of course we will see the magnitude of the case. I heard it through the media. The complaint have to come and bring the case to us. It is media and we cannot go and look for her in the house. Let her come and...
South Sudanese students who have been denied graduation at Kampala University have opened a case against the administration in the Ugandan High Court. Last week, about 300 South Sudanese students who completed their studies from the Juba-based Kampala University students staged a peaceful protest after they were denied graduation, a reason not stated earlier. They accused Badru Dungu Katarega, the university vice-chancellor, of what they call a betrayal. This is because the students say they had been paying their tuition fees via the university's account at the number 1 charter bank in Uganda. But the vice-chancellor reportedly said he closed the Juba branch without stating when that took place. Sarah Akwot, a member of the protesting students committee, says they are calling on the Ugandan High Court to put an end to the graduation. She spoke to iRadio yesterday from Kampala.
Mr. Katarega, the VC, is still standing his ground, and through a phone call to our educational attaché, he has clearly stated that he is not going to graduate any of the students, and still says, I have closed down the university in Juba. We have gone now into another level. We took a legal action in the Uganda High Courts today. We went at one case is the first case of denying us graduation and denying us completely. Another case is to stop the graduation from going on without us, and the graduation is just a day before it. We are calling upon Mr. VC tell us he has closed Kampala branch officially and in a written document. He has been receiving our money.
The graduation is slated to take place tomorrow, the 23rd of June. This news is coming to you from iRadio. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations says militarization of livestock is hampering efforts to transform the sector into a commercial-oriented manner. According to the agency, livestock in South Sudan is contributing only 3% of the gross domestic product due to its inadequate commercialization and marketing. This is partly attributed to ignorance and limited opportunities for livestock marketing, with the local communities unable to realize the actual financial value of their animal wealth. FAO says livestock are mainly kept for family subsistence and payment for hefty bride prices. But increased acquisition of firearms to either protect or steal cattle for such purposes contributes to deaths rather than to prosperity. Meshach Malo is the FAO country director, country representative to South Sudan. He says transforming the South Sudan livestock sector requires peace and stability.
There is the militarization of cattle keeping, which is keeping cattle using a gun, and so it complicates matters for commercialization. But working together with the different parties, we believe that we can convert the cattle into prosperity and not to contribute to death. Now we are talking with the government, and that's why I talked about peace, because the cattle keepers are also not keeping the gun for no good reason. If they were sure that no one would attack them, or if someone attacked them, the government will respond with speed and they recover their cattle, they will not be able to do that.
The livestock is a central socio-cultural component and economic activities practiced by many communities in the country.
The cattle keepers in Somalia, the cattle keepers in Ethiopia, The cattle keepers in Kenya, they are very rich because they are converting the cattle into money. So there is no reason why the cattle keepers in South Sudan, their children are not going to school. They should convert that for the children to go to school. They should convert that for the economy of the country. So we believe that as the Food and Agriculture Organization, that working together, this culture change can come.
According to the Government and Food Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, South Sudan has more than 40 million livestock, including 12 million cattle, 12.1 million sheep, and 12.4 million goats. The statistics placed South Sudan to be among the richest countries in livestock wealth per capita in Africa. In Kenya, livestock production is an integral part of the agricultural sector. It has a vital livestock sector and accounts for about 4.4% of Kenya's gross domestic product, amounting to $3.4 billion in 2017. Mishak says South Sudan can still do better if the livestock is converted into money. And lastly, before the international news, a South Sudanese researcher in Juba has urged the government to get rid of the outdated Chinese technologies and acquire modern ones to increase oil production. In August last year, the Ministry of Petroleum disclosed that South Sudan was experiencing a decrease in oil production from 165,000 to 156,000 barrels per day. The figures were down from 180,000 barrels per day from 2019. In July last year, the Petroleum Ministry said oil production in Block 3 and 7 dropped to 103,000 barrels per day from 120. Blocks 1, 2, and 4 were producing 48,000 barrels per day, down from 53,000 barrels per day. Blocks 3 and 7 operated by Dar Petroleum Operating Company, while Thomas South Field on blocks 1, 2, and 4 are being operated by Greater Pioneer Operating Company. Production, however, resumed at the Tharjat field in Block 5A at 3,000 barrels per day. Dr. Lual Deng is the managing director at the Ebony Center. His suggestion is
get rid of inferior Chinese technology. I'm sorry to say that. I'm not a diplomat. I'm a researcher. I'm a former Minister of Petroleum. I know what that technology means. And get American technology. You will improve production. With improved technology, we'll be able to produce 500 or 500,000 barrels a day. And then assume that the oil prices will be $50 a barrel by the end of our second decade of independence. You will be getting then $12.5 million a day, which translates to $4.5 billion a year, just oil.
That was Dr. Lual Deng, the Managing Director at the Ebony Center, speaking during a panel discussion on financing development in South Sudan in Juba yesterday. You're listening to iRadio News, and now to the international news brought to you by MTN.
Freedom is everyone's desire. Freedom is what makes you and me happy. Freedom is called Hurea in my country. My telecom network has chosen to give me freedom. MTN is my network. I have the freedom. I choose affordable and reliable. Hurea Bundles is my way. MTN introduces to you Hurea Bundles, giving you the freedom to call across all networks with the same bundles. Subscribe by dialing *100 *3 *4 hash and get 15 minutes for only 100 SSB and 30 minutes for 150 SSB, valid for 1 day. Hurea, pure freedom. MTN, everywhere you go.
And now Alaki Richol is here with the stories from the international arena.
Thank you, Helen Samuel. The African Union has suspended its participation in the UN-facilitated talks to end the Sudan political crisis. Its representative in the talks cited lack of transparency and exclusion of important political actors from the process. Mohammed Bilaisha, the AU representative in Khartoum, was quoted by the state-run Sudan news agency as saying that the African Union cannot participate in a process that is not based on transparency, honesty, and non-exclusion. Elsewhere, Taliban officials say a powerful earthquake has killed at least 920 people and left hundreds more injured in Afghanistan. Pictures show landslides and ruined mud-built homes in eastern Paktika province where rescuers are scrambling to treat the injured. In remote areas, helicopters have been ferrying victims to hospitals. Taliban leader Hibatullah Akhundzada said hundreds of houses were destroyed and the death toll was likely to rise. Finally, hundreds of thousands of people in China have been evacuated in several southern and eastern provinces after unrelenting rains caused floods and triggered landslides. Two provinces upgraded flood warnings on Tuesday as rivers overflowed and flood water levels broke a 50-year high. Videos on state media show cars being washed down streets and people being rescued by ropes across swollen rivers. These are news making headlines in the international scene. Back to you, Helen Samuel.
Thank you, Alakir Chola. And now to the sports desk. I have here with me Jacob Moyo.
Thank you, Helen Samuel. And to start with, Todd Boehly has been confirmed as the new Chelsea chairman amid a series of new appointments to the club's board. A consortium led by American investor Boehly completed the takeoff of the Blues last month. He takes up the role of chairman after it was announced Bruce Buck will step down after 19 years. Chelsea also confirmed the departure of director Marina Granovskaya, with Boehly taking over the role until a permanent replacement is appointed. But Granovskaya will remain available to the club for the duration of the summer transfer window to help with the transition. Liverpool have agreed to sell Japan international Takumi Minamino to Monaco for 18 million euros. The League One side were one of a number of clubs interested in a 27-year-old who joined the Reds from Red Bull Salzburg for 7.25 million euros in 2020. The deal for Minamino is worth a fixed 15 million euros and 3 million euros in adds-on. He scored 14 times in 55 outings for the Reds and was their top scorer in domestic cup competitions last season. Minamino's 7 goals were crucial as Jurgen Klopp's side won the FA Cup and League Cup. However, he made just 11 appearances, including one start in the Premier League as Liverpool finished a point behind Manchester City. And finally, the signs pointed to one of the greatest players of all time slipping quietly into retirement without the farewell she deserves. But on Tuesday, Serena Williams made her return to the tennis court almost exactly a year since her last competitive match and just weeks after many had predicted the 23-time Grand Slam singles champion would never play again. At Eastbourne's Devonshire Park, usually the hub of the sleepy Sussex seaside town's cultural scene and home to a number of theaters, Williams took center stage. The 40-year-old American teamed up with Tunisia's Ons Jabeur in the Eastbourne doubles, and the pair won their opening match in an entertaining evening. End of iRadio Sports News, and back to you, Helen Samuel, in the studio.
Thank you, Moyo Jacob. You're listening to iRadio News, and to end this bulletin, here are the headlines once again. The commissioner of Mayendit County in Unity State says armed men have shot dead a chief and his wife in the area. The Minister of Labor has warned employers in the country against sexual harassment towards their staff, saying it is a criminal act. And South Sudanese students who have been denied graduation at Kampala University have opened a case against the administration in the Ugandan High Court. And that's the end of iRadio Afternoon News. You can get these stories and updates by subscribing to iRadio News Alert on your MTN South Sudan number. Call 700 or dial *700# and follow the instructions. If there is a story or an event you like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 925 287 870. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on Twitter at iRadio Juba. Like our Facebook page, iRadio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for the news in Arabic at 1:30. I'm Helen Samuel. Thank you for listening.